Hi everyone, and welcome to this session on legal agreements for food startups. Now, if you're a law student, a young lawyer, or someone who's planning to advise startups, this session is something that's extremely important because food startups operate in a very highly regulated and contract driven environment. So, today we will focus on key agreements that are required in a food startup, what is exactly the legal framework in India, and core clauses that one must never miss out while drafting. Now, let's begin with understanding what exactly is included in food startups. So, before we start or we jump on to drafting, we need to understand the ecosystem. So, a typical food startup, it involves a restaurant owner, a cloud kitchen, it involves a food aggregator platforms like Swiggy or Zomato, delivery partners, vendors and suppliers, and the consumers. Now, each of these relationships is something that is governed by the uh, contracts. As a lawyer, your role is not just drafting, but also risk allocation. So, let's talk about what are the key laws that are applicable in India. But let's quickly understand what exactly is the legal framework here. So we have the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006, or the FSSAI Act. This is the backbone of food regulation in India. Every food business operator must have an FSSAI license. Let's talk about the Contract Act, which governs all the agreements, offer, acceptance, consideration, enforceability, etc. You have your Consumer Protection Act, which is important for liability in case of defective or unsafe food. You have your Legal Metrology Act, which applies to packaging, labeling, and weight disclosure. Your GST laws, which determines the tax liability, tax structure between the aggregator and the restaurant. Then you have your IT law, because you have your digital transactions and data sharing. So, as a lawyer who is drafting these agreements, you must ensure your agreement it aligns with all these laws. Now let's break down these major agreements. The first agreement is your aggregator agreement, which is the most important, that is between the platform and the restaurant. Then you have your vendor supplier agreement, which is basically for raw materials. Your delivery partner agreement, franchise agreement, if it is applicable, and your employment agreements. So today our focus is primarily on the aggregator agreement. Let's get practical now. Every agreement should include your parties clause. That is, you need to clearly identify who are the parties, and it is not just brand names. You should have who is the person who is representing the parties. Scope of services, that is what exactly is being offered, what is the listing, what is the delivery, what is the promotion. Your consideration and payment terms, what exactly is the commission percentage, what is the payment cycle, what are the GST implications. Your compliance clause, that is whether the restaurant it needs to comply with FSSAI norms. Liability cause, now who is responsible for the food quality, food delivery, customer complaints. Your indemnity clause, which is the most critical clause, because the aggregator always looks for a reason to shift the risk to restaurant for food related issues. Your intellectual property clause, who will use the logo, the brand name, the menu images. Your termination clause, what is the ground for termination, plus what is the notice period going to be. Dispute resolution, because arbitration is quite common in these agreements, but it needs to be a very practical, solvable measure. Your force majeure, especially post COVID, this clause has gained a different level of importance. So to conclude, food startup agreements are not something that's very generic contract. They are compliance heavy, they are risk sensitive, and they are quite commercially driven. In the next video, we are going to go more deeply into aggregator versus restaurant agreements. We'll also be doing the clause by clause breakdown of these agreements. And also, I'll be sharing a few drafting tips from a lawyer's perspective. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the next session.